All right, all right. So in the book of Joel, we got them being gathered in the valley of Jehoshaphat or Yehoshaphat for the battle, and we got them all fighting each other in based on Second Ezra 15 and chapter 16. Everyone fighting each other there. And then so we're gonna go to Matthew 24 for the 21. Says, "For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. And except those days be shortened, there should no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake those days shall be shortened." And immediately after this, verse 29, immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be dark, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. He shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds and from one end of the heaven to the other. So this is the elect being gathered together uh, by the angels from out the earth, and he said the Son of Man coming in the clouds. So we got to see what those clouds represent, because those clouds are the chariots. And we know this by Psalm 104, verse 3. It says, "Who layeth the beams of his chambers in the waters, who maketh the clouds his chariot, who walketh upon the wings of the wind." So if we go to Isaiah chapter 19, verse 1, it says, "The burden of Egypt, behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud," which is, we've established that the cloud is a chariot. So the Lord rideth upon a chariot, a swift chariot, "and shall come into Egypt," which represents Babylon the gate, "and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst thereof." So then we noticed that it said that the angels went out to gather the elect. So let's see how did that how did that happen? It says, Revelation chapter 11 verse 12, "And they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, Come up hither. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud," which is a chariot, "and their enemies beheld them." So the Son of Man, Yahushua, called out and said, "Come up." The ones that was gonna be beamed up. He told them, "Come up." So where we coming up to? They coming up to the chariot. It's Revelation chapter 18, verse 4. "And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, that ye receive not of her plagues." That's just him calling up again. Then if you go to Isaiah chapter 26, verse 20 and 21 says, "Come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers, and shut thy doors about thee, and hide thyself as it were for a little moment, until the indignation be overpast. For behold, the Lord cometh out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity. The earth shall disclose her blood, and shall no more cover her slain." So he's saying, that, like I said, he gathering his people to come up out of it before it be destroyed. Now, when this happened, they gonna try to come and fight the Lord. Why you think they building that space force? They wanna fight. And so this is Second Ezra chapter 13, starting at verse 1. It says, "And it came to pass after 7 days I dreamed a dream by night, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea that it moved all the ways thereof. And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven, all those angels. And when he turned his countenance to look at all the things trembled that were seen under him. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, like as the earth fell when it filleth the fire. And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of the number from the four winds of heaven to subdue the man that came out to sea." So they came out to get ready to fight him. "But I beheld, and lo, he had engraved himself a great mountain and flew upon it." Right, that's how huge that chariot was, man. I mean, it was the size of a mountain. The best way Edges could describe it was a mountain. That's how huge it was. "But I would have seen the region or place whereout the hill was graven, and could not." I mean, hey, he would have been able to see where that mountain came from, but shoot, he couldn't tell where it came from because it didn't come from earth. It came from the third heaven. It came from heaven. "And lo, as he saw, and after, and it says, and after verse 8, "And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet there is fight." So they were scared, but the Lord gonna put the spirit on them to want to fight them anyway. "And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held a sword or any instrument of war. But only I saw that he sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips as a flame of breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. And they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flame of breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which were prepared to fight, and burned them up, every one, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude nothing was perceived, but only dust and the smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid." There you go. All he gotta do is just speak the word. He ain't gotta lift up nothing to fight you. He just gonna speak the word, and you gone. Simple. Verse 29. "Behold, the days come when the Most High will begin to deliver them that are upon the earth, and he shall come to the astonishment of them that dwell in the earth. And one shall undertake to fight against another, one city against another, one place against another, one people against another, one realm against another. And the time shall be when these things shall come to pass, the signs shall happen which I showed thee before, and then shall my son be declared, whom thou sawest as a man ascending." Right back in Acts the second chapter. Uh, "And when all the people hear his voice, every man shall in their own man leave the battle against another, and an innumerable multitude shall be gathered together as thou sawest them, willing to come to overcome him by fighting. But he shall stand upon the top of Mount Zion, and Zion shall come and shall be showed to all men, being prepared to build like as thou sawest a hill graven without hands. And this my son shall rebuke the wicked inventions of those nations which for their wicked life are fallen into tempest, and shall lay before their evil thoughts the torments which they shall begin to be tormented, which are like unto a flame, and shall destroy them without labor by the law, which is like unto fire." So you gonna destroy him. He not gonna lift up nothing. He just gonna with the power of his mouth. Uh, Lord gonna destroy these people. So if I go to Jeremiah 50 verse 9, it says, "For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken. Their arrows shall be as of a mighty expert man, and none shall return in vain." Right, they gonna turn they missiles towards Babylon the Great here. And verse 13, "Because of the wrath of the Lord it shall not be inhabited, but it shall be wholly desolate. Everyone that goeth by Babylon shall be astonished and hiss at all her plagues. Put yourselves in array against Babylon round about, all ye that bend the bow. Meaning everybody got nuclear missiles. Shoot at her. Spare no arrows. All these missiles going to be shot off. For she hath sinned against the Lord. Shout against her round about. She has given her hand. Her foundations are fallen. Her walls are thrown down. For it is the vengeance of the Lord. Take vengeance upon her as she hath done unto her. Right. Like I said, all these missiles going to be shot off. And ain't nothing going to be left but here. Nothing going to be left here in Babylon the Great but dust, smoke, burn. Just nothing. Nothing going to be here. You can go to Revelation chapter 9, verse 13 says, And the sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar which is before God, saying to the sixth angel which had the trumpet, Loose the four angels which were bound by the great river Euphrates. Now these four angels were the ones holding back that destroying wind. And that destroying wind is just that blast of fire coming from those missiles. And the four angels were loose, which were prepared for an hour, for a day, a month, and a year, for to slay the third part of men. Which you have the sons of uh the sons of God, the children of men, and the sons of the wicked. The sons of men, the sons of the wicked. Third part of men, sons of the wicked being destroyed. And and the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000. And I heard the number of them, and thus this description of the missiles. And thus I saw the horses in the vision of them that sat on them, having breastplates of fire and jacinth and brimstone, and the heads of the horses were the heads of lions, and out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone. By these three was the third part of men killed, by fire and the smoke and brimstone which issued out of their mouths. For their power in the head, their power is in the mouth, and they're in their tails were like a serpent, right? That smoke that comes out of it, you push your mind frame of serpents, and had heads with them they do hurt. That's why they call them nuclear warheads, because the power is in the head of the missiles. And if you go to chapter 11, verse 13 says, And the same hour there was a great earthquake, and the 10th part of the city fell. I mean, that's those, this Babylon the Great is divided up into 10 FEMA zones. And the 10th part of the city fell, and in the earthquake were slain of men 7,000, and the remnant were afraid and gave glory to the God of heaven. And so we go back to Isaiah 24, verse 19 to 20. It says, The earth is utterly broken down. This is after the missiles have hit. The earth is utterly broken down. The earth is clean dissolved. The earth is moved exceedingly. The earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard, and shall be removed like a cottage. And the transgression thereof shall be heavy upon it, and it shall fail and not rise again. Right. Once the missiles hit, it's gonna knock everything out of course here. Or should I say it's going to knock everything back in course. At this Revelation 21. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. This is coming down out them chariots, or the chariots coming back on down to the earth. After the destruction that take place. So you had the fighting, the call out to come up into the chariots, and then they tried to fight Yahushua. Yahushua destroyed them. Then in the midst of that, the missiles were shot off. Missiles destroyed Babylon the Great, rocked the earth, and then now all that's taking place. Now we come. Now the new, we done been changed, and now we coming down. This Revelation chapter 7, starting at verse 9. As this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands. And I cried with a loud voice, saying, Salvation to our power, which sitteth upon the throne, and unto the Lamb. And all the angels stood round about the throne, and about the elders and the four beasts, and fell before the throne on their faces, and worshipped God, saying, Amen. Blessing and glory and wisdom and thanksgiving and honor and power and might be unto our God forever and ever. Amen. And one of the elders answered, saying unto me, What are these which are arrayed in white robes, and whence came they? And I said unto him, Sir, thou knowest. And he said to me, These are they which came out of great tribulation, which had washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Therefore are they before the throne of God, to serve him day and night in his temple, and he that sitteth upon the throne shall dwell among them. They shall hunger no more, neither thirst any more, neither shall the sun light on them, nor on any heat. For the Lamb which is in the midst of the throne shall feed them, and shall lead them unto living fountains of water, and God shall wipe away all the tears of their eyes. And just to go a little more in depth into that, you can find in Second Ezra, the second chapter. It says, "Arise up." Second Ezra 2:38. Arise up and stand. Behold, the number of those that be sealed in the feast of the Lord, which are departed from the shadow of the world, which are and have received glorious garments. That's them giving those white robes. Take thy number, O Zion, and shut up those of thine that are clothed in white, which have fulfilled the law of the Lord. The number of thy children, whom thou longest for, is fulfilled. Beseech the power of the Lord, that thy people which have been called from the beginning may be hallowed. I, Ezra, saw upon Mount Zion a great people whom I could not number, this that innumerable multitude, and they all praised the Lord with songs. And in the midst of them was a young man of high stature, taller than all the rest. And upon every one of their heads he set crowns, and was more exalted, which I marveled at greatly. So I asked the angel and said, Sir, what are these? He answered and said unto me, These be they that have put off mortal clothing and put on the immortal, meaning they were changed, and have confessed the name of God. Now are they crowned and receive palms. Then said I unto the angel, What young man, what young person is this? Is it that crowneth them, and giveth them palms in their hands? So he answered and said unto me, It is the Son of God, whom thou hast confessed in the world. Then began I greatly to commend them that stood so stiffly for the name of the Lord. Right. See how it all comes together. You got to go precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little. So we went from understanding that you gotta have through the precepts you get understanding to uh to the martial law and the war to to the Son of Man come to Yahushua coming and calling the elect up, or sending out his angels to gather the elect to call them up into the chariots, and then wow then they come to fight Yahushua with the space force, and then he destroyed that space force, and then coming on down and then giving you your crown. You see, you gotta go precept on precept in order to get that. And I just wanted to bring that out. So hope you guys were all edified. With that, I say shalom.